What's up, everybody? It is Friday, meaning we are one day away from yet another test for the purple and gold, the Washington Huskies. And this game tomorrow, 7:30 p.m., so it's another late start. I will be streaming it. I will be streaming it. Let's just start with that. I plan on streaming the whole game, but I will not be streaming it from my usual location. So it's going to be a little experimental maybe. I am going to try and get the graphics on screen. I am going to try and actually have like a full on watch along stream, so it's not just you guys looking at me looking at the game. But yeah, it's not going to be in my usual setup, so I don't know exactly how it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to look as good as my usual ones do, but regardless, tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, I will be streaming the game. Even if I have to just do it via Facecam, I will do it. But I'm going to try to do a little bit better. Okay, so Washington Huskies at home again. Spending a lot of time at home to start the year. You usually don't see four in a row against the Stanford Cardinal. Washington opening up their conference schedule. Stanford started it last week by losing to USC. Huskies are 3-0, coming off an impressive win over Michigan State. Stanford 1-1, beat up on a free win in the first week before getting beat by USC. It's kind of an interesting thing going on with Stanford right now because I really thought they were going to have a dangerous passing attack this year. I liked McKee. I thought McKee was going to be a good quarterback. I wasn't sure about him as a pro prospect, but I felt like as a college quarterback, he was going to be really good. And so far this year, it's a small sample size. He's been okay. He's been okay. Nothing special, nothing great. Penix has clearly outplayed him through the early part of the season. The numbers speak for themselves. And watching them play speaks for itself as well, honestly. Stanford was a team that I thought was going to improve a little bit over last year, and they may. Last year, Stanford was mostly really bad. They went on some, 7 or 8 game losing streak to end the year. So they may be better than that. But after that USC game, they're clearly not one of the heavy hitters in this conference. And you can clearly score on them. USC, behind Caleb Williams, was able to do it. And if you look at the way Washington's offense has been able to move the ball and score so far this year, you would logically expect Washington's offense to go off in this game. And after a fourth quarter where the offense really didn't do anything for the Huskies against Michigan State, we need to see that. So I think that's probably the most important thing for me. This Husky team is clearly going to go as far as their offense is going to take them. Their defense may end up being good. Their defense may end up building as the year goes on, but this is an offensive-minded team. Our best players seem to be on offense. The majority of our brains as a coaching staff are on the offense. So at the end of the day, even though it was after a phenomenal first 2.5 to 3 quarters, seeing your offense fail to do anything even remotely competent in the last stretch of that Michigan State game troubles you, because if that's the case, we're going to have a problem. Because Michigan State, even though it took them the whole game to do it, started exploiting what I kind of thought was going to be our weakness, our secondary. Our secondary lost our 2 stud corners last year and doesn't look like we've done an amazing job replacing them. Now, granted, I don't know if I can hold that against anybody. You're going to replace 2 guys who go in the top, 40 picks of a draft. It's not going to happen overnight. But the bottom line is that is the weakness of this team. And if these other teams look at that and go, hey, let's just test that secondary over and over and over again, could be a problem. So we're going to need to keep scoring. And even though Stanford is probably not a very good team this year, they were not a good team last year, and they don't look much better. Even though we're 2 touchdown favorites, even though we're very much expected to win this game, there's something about this game that makes me feel like we're going to learn something here because it is the start of conference play. It just feels different. Excuse me. It just feels different playing in your conference, even though nominally the team is worse, even though you're still at home, even though you have all these things going in your favor. It just feels different to play against your conference. And I kind of treat this game as a little bit of a litmus test for what to expect the rest of the way. If the Huskies come out on offense, put that fourth quarter against Michigan State behind them, and run it up offensively, and maybe even show some pass rush on defense, that's the main thing that I hope is going to mitigate this problematic secondary, a pass rush, against an offense that so far this year has been fairly good, but ultimately has really struggled to get into the end zone. They're putting up yards, but not scoring as many points as they would like through 2 games. Again, small sample size, I know, but we work with what we have. Then I'm going to start believing that it could be a really good year for this Huskies team. If they can take care of business in this game, win, look good, get the offense back on track, and all these other good things, I can believe. Because you look at the Huskies' schedule, it is soft. We play Oregon later this year, and we do play the Cougars in the Apple Cup like we always do. Other than that, it's hard to find a team on this remaining schedule that you're really intimidated by. Some of these teams might be okay, but if we can prove that we're significantly better than Michigan State and then prove we can hold over the conference opponent the next week, I'm going to start believing this could be like a 10-win plus year. Maybe even beyond that. Maybe you win the Pac-12. Maybe you beat Oregon. That kind of feels like the big final boss, the big test, right? Oregon. If you beat Oregon, there's really nothing on this schedule that should give you a problem at that point. So I went into this season thinking we were going to have a winning record, make a bowl game, improve over last year. But if we win this game, I'm going to start, my eyes are going to get a little bit bigger here. I'm going to start thinking to myself, we could get on a run. We could absolutely maybe get it through this whole season. Even if we lose to Oregon, we could win every other game very, very easily if the team keeps up the way they played against Michigan State for most of that game. But at the same time, if the stuff we saw at the end of the Michigan State game carries over, then I'm going to still feel like we're going to be a little better than I thought. But maybe we're talking more about 8, maybe 9 wins. So even though Stanford's not going to be great this year, it looks like, and even though we're heavy favorites, I look to this game to be an example of what we might expect from this team overall. Because honestly, a lot of the teams we play the rest of the way, not necessarily going to be that much better than Stanford. Teams like UCLA, teams like Arizona, teams like, I think we play Arizona State. Are these teams really massively more impressive than Stanford? No. So, yeah, I'm starting to think something special this year could be on the table. And I know winning the Pac-12 doesn't really mean anything because the Pac-12 is not a conference people take seriously. But it's all we can do right now. All we can do is win every game that we can and hope that at some point we start getting the opportunity to prove ourselves as being one of the best teams. Again, our schedule is such that even if we go undefeated, I don't think we make the playoff this year, so it's not even about that. It's about building credibility to where in future years, when the playoff gets expanded, and maybe when the Huskies are in a different conference, you've built that credibility and you've also built that experience as a top flight program to where you can just roll into those new conferences and start winning. All right, that's all I got. See you guys later.